Okay, assalamu alaikum. I will continue now with lesson 5.5. Most probably I might be dividing this lesson into two parts, the multiplication in one recording and the division in the other recording. Let's see how it's gonna work. So basically in this lesson we need to solve inequalities using multiplication or division. In lesson 5.4 we solved inequalities using addition and subtraction. It went really well. We cancel addition with subtraction, or subtraction we cancel it with addition. For inequalities with multiplication and division, it's the same idea. These are inverse operations for each other. They cancel each other. But there's a small twist here. Is basically we have two ideas we need to cover. Is when you are dealing with a fraction and when you are dealing with a negative number. Okay, let's see. So again, I'll start with direct example. Just I will write some guidelines here or rules. Okay, where should I write it? I'll just write it here. Okay. I just want to say that we have again multiplication and division are basically inverse operations. They cancel each other. When you want to cancel multiplication, we use division, and when you want to cancel division, we have to use multiplication. Now, one more thing is when you are multiplying or dividing by a negative number, for example here, let's say negative 2x less than 12. To cancel the 2 that is multiplied with the x, you have to divide by the 2, but the 2 is negative, so you have to divide by a negative 2 on both sides. Once you see yourself dividing by a negative number or maybe multiplying by a negative number, then you should flip the inequality direction. What does that mean? Let's see what does that mean. So basically this inequality will end up being like this, the opposite direction. So if it was more than, it's gonna be less than. If it was less than, it's gonna be more than. If it was more or equal, it will be less or equal. If it was less or equal, it will be more or equal. Now, the last note I want to talk about is for the fractions. When you want to cancel a fraction as a coefficient, for example, suppose you have this fraction 4 over 6, x is more than, let's say, 10. To cancel this fraction, multiply both sides by the reciprocal. What does that mean? Reciprocal is basically the opposite of this fraction, which is 6 over 4. So you have to multiply by 6 over 4 on both sides. This will help you in cancelling any fraction, and it always works. Once you see a fraction next to your variable, just the fraction should be multiplied with your variable, not added. A fraction multiplication or a fraction that is multiplied. Okay, with your variable, you have to multiply again by the reciprocal. You will tell me, Miss, why are we cancelling the multiplication by multiplication? Because you're cancelling it by multiplying by the opposite of this fraction. You can use division. You will end up doing the same thing. This is just a shortcut for you. If you want, you can follow it or just follow the original rule. Again, most of my students, they like to follow the original rule, which is divide both sides by the same fraction. It's correct. Now you will see I'll solve one of them with this shortcut. This is a shortcut, okay? You don't have to follow it. And I will solve the other example with the normal way, okay? So let's see. I'll start with these examples that they don't have fractions, okay? Let's start with this one. So again, here we have a multiplication of inequality with multiplication. How did I know? Because the number 4 is stick to the variable s. And once we see it stick to it, we know directly there's a hidden multiplication between them. Again, first of all, we have to draw the line that splits between the two sides. Again, to cancel multiplication, we use division. Okay? So I have to divide by 4 on both sides. This is another way of writing division, or maybe you can just write it as divide by 4. Okay? Now the 4 is cancelled. S alone is, since the 4 is a positive number, I'm dividing by a positive number, the inequality sign will stay the same. Okay? I'm dividing by what? A positive number. So the inequality sign will stay the same. So 18 divided by 4, just use long division. Skip count by 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, that's it. 18 divided by 4, I can choose number 16, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, goes up, 16 goes down, subtract 2 left. Put a decimal and put 0, 20 is here, which is number 5. Just subtract, nothing left. So the answer is 4.5. It's positive because both of them are positive, okay? So lastly, just graph your answer. Here is 4.5. Because it's less than or equal to, just draw a closed circle. And since it's less than, just follow the direction. Go to the less side, okay? Now let's solve this example. Here we have 2x more than negative 10. You will tell me, Miss, now we have a negative. Again, the rule is when you are multiplying or dividing by a negative number, it should be multiplied by negative, let's say 7, or divide by negative, let's say 7. Okay, so let's see if I will have to cancel a number and multiply or divide by that number and it's a negative number. So again, the 2 is a stick to the x and I want to isolate the x. Stick to it means there's a multiplication between them. To cancel multiplication, we use division. So I have to divide by 2 only. And the 2 is a positive number. There is no sign, so it's a positive number. Then, since I'm dividing by a positive 2 or not a negative number, then it's okay. The inequality sign will stay the same. Regardless of this number here, we don't care about it. We only care about the number that is next to the variable. Okay? The number that is multiplied with the variable. Okay? Okay. Now I have x alone more than what? Negative 2 and 10. I have to divide them. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And remember the smiley faces, because we have division. Now we have to use the smiley faces. One of them negative, one of them is positive. Different signs is, a negative answer. Okay? Same signs give me a positive answer. Okay? Fine. So it's going to be a negative answer. Just graph your answer on the number line. Locate the negative 5. Here is more. Here is less. X is more than negative 5. So just draw open circle because there is no or equal to. Mafi equal to here. There is no or equal to. And since it's more, just follow the arrow. Go to the more direction. Okay, until now it's easy, clear, everything is clear. Okay, I'm following the steps, nothing weird. Let's see the fractions. Again, as I told you, one of them I will solve it with a shortcut, one of them I will solve it normally with the rule. Both ways it's gonna be the same thing. Type again, draw a line to separate sides of the inequality. Again, I have 1 over 2 is stick to my variable, means it's multiplied to my variable. Again, it's 1 over 2 next to my variable, next to it. Okay? To cancel it, what should I do? Since it's multiplication, I have to use division of 1 over 2 on both sides. Hello? Now it's cancelled. It's a positive number. I'm dividing by positive 1 over 2. Then the inequality sign should stay the same. You have to keep your eye open in this lesson. You have to focus on every single detail. Okay? Check if the number is positive or negative to know if you're going to change the direction or not. Then, if it's multiplication, you have to use division. You have to keep your eye open. Now, m alone is less than or equal to what? 56 divided by 1 over 2. Once you see a division of a number divided by a fraction, division and a fraction, directly what comes to my mind? To solve division and fraction problems, we have to use KCF. Keep, change, flip to a reciprocal. 2 over 1. It's the same rule. It's the same thing as the rule. So instead of dividing by 1 over 2, you are again taking the 56 and multiplying it by 2 over 1. It's the same thing. If you like to do the shortcut right away, it's correct. If you want to do this way and just do KCF on the side, come on, it's correct. Both of them will give you the same answer. Now 56 times 2 over 1, just put a denominator of 1. 56 times 2 is basically 112. 1 times 1 is 1, which is basically 112 over 1, which means that it's 112. That's it. Okay? Graph your answer. This is 112. There is or equal to, then it's a closed circle. Less than, then means I have to go to the left. That's it. Bas. Type. Let's do it here. Again, I have a fraction next to my variable. Stick to it. Okay? It's not added, it's not subtracted. I will use the shortcut here. Instead of dividing, it's multiplied with it. Instead of dividing with the fraction on both sides, then use KCF because there's a division. خلاص, multiply both sides by the reciprocal. Multiply by what? The 3 over 2. Multiply by 3 over 2. خلاص, it's cancelled right away. X alone is less than. Again, I'm multiplying by a positive number. It's a positive number, by the way. So the inequality sign will stay the same. X is less than what? Just multiply them. Put a denominator 1. Negative 4 times positive 3 is negative 12. Different signs, negative. 1 times 2 is 2. 12. Simplify now here. 12 divided by 2, it's 6. Of course, negative. Just this is less than. Okay? Now, x is less than negative 6. That's it. So, if you want to solve it using the division method, it's going to give you the same answer. I will show you now. Again, most of my students, they really like the original method. They don't like the shortcut. I don't know actually why. Oh my god, it was removed now. So, I forgot that I wrote it. Time. It was how much? It was x less than negative 6. Let's see if I'm gonna get the same answer using the original method. Again, it's multiplied with x. Draw the line. So I have to divide by 2 over 3 on both sides. X alone, since I'm dividing by a positive number, then the inequality sign will stay the same. This done. Okay? Now here on the side, -4 divided by 2/3. Once I see division and a fraction directly, KCF. Keep the -4, change the division into multiplication, then flip 3/2. It's the same. Now just put denominator 1. -4 times 3, -12. 2 times 1, 2. 12 divided by 2, simplify it. 6, but negative. It's the same thing. Can you see? It's the same. Okay? Again, it goes for your preference. Again, the answer is -6. Since it's only less than, open circle and go to the left because it's less than. That's it. Tamam. This is the multiplication idea. To cancel multiplication, we used all division. Okay? I will do the same thing, but when we have it as a negative number. What was the rule? If you are multiplying or dividing by a negative number, this flips the inequality sign from more than to less than, and from less than to more than. Let's see how can we solve such a problem. Okay? Yeah. So I'll just draw a line to separate the sides, the questions I mean. And I'll start solving. Again, the difference between this question and the previous one was that the 4 was not negative. So the previous slide, the 4 was not negative. The inequality sign was the same, exactly the same. Less than or equal, less than or equal. But here, let's see what will happen. Draw a line to separate the sides. The -4 is multiplied with the s. It's not subtraction between s and 4. If it was subtraction, it's going to be written as this, 4 minus s. So there's a difference. If it was subtraction, it's going to be written as either this, 4 minus s, or s minus 4. But here, it's written as what? -4s. Stick to it. There's a multiplication by a negative number. Please don't get confused, please. Okay? So there's a multiplication of a negative number. To cancel the multiplication, I have to do division of what? Of this negative number, of the -4, on both sides, of course. Hello? Now, once you see yourself dividing by a negative number, فوراً the inequality sign will flip directly. Okay? What will happen to my variable? It stays the same, goes down. Of course, the -4 was cancelled. Now, 18 divided by -4, the same answer, 4.5. But since one of them is negative, the answer will be negative. That's it. And the inequality, to graph the answer, same way. -4.5. There is or equal to, then it's a closed circle. And it's more than or equal to. It's not less than or equal to anymore. Now it's more than or equal to. So I have to graph the new sign. Then go to the right direction. Please, at any moment, you can stop the video and try to solve the question by yourself. Same here. Before I start, you can stop the video. So let's do it. So here, draw the two sides of the line to separate two sides of the inequality. Again, -2x. It's not 2 minus x or x minus 2. No, it's -2x. So there is a hidden multiplication between them. To cancel multiplication, you have to use division. By what? By this number, that is a negative number. By -2. Division by -2. Since you are dividing by a negative number, فوراً the inequality sign from more than is gonna be less than. Of course, my variable will go down, and of course, -2 is cancelled. Now, on the other side, what do I have to do? X divided by 2, 10 divided by 2 is 5. Both of them are negative, same signs. The answer will be positive. Just graph your answer. So here positive 5, open circle because there is no or equal to. And since it's less than, then I have to draw it pointing to the left. That's it. Same method here. I will solve one of them and you will have to solve the other one. I'm gonna do this one. Okay? Again, since I have a fraction, stick to my variable. Then, to cancel this fraction, I need to use division by this fraction. Negative 2/3 on both sides. Since I'm dividing by a negative number, then my inequality will be from less than into more than. And of course, the variable x will stay the same and the number is cancelled. Now on this side, again, I have a division by a fraction. فورا I go to KCF, I use KCF. What do I have? I have negative 4 divided by negative 2/3. Yalla, KCF, keep, change, flip. Keep the negative 4, change it into multiplication, flip this. It's going to be negative 3/2. Put a denominator of 1. Negative 3 times negative 4 is going to be positive 12. Both negatives will give me positive. Over 1 times 2 is 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Positive, of course. That's it. Then graph your answer. This is positive 6. More than means what? Open circle going to the right. It's very simple once you know the rule and once you practice a lot on it. For part 2, we'll explore solving inequalities that contains division and how to cancel the division using multiplication. So again, for this part, we need to solve inequalities with division, or to cancel division we use multiplication. This part of the lesson is very easy. Okay, again, remember the rules, and the rules are very simple. Just let them here out. To cancel the division we use multiplication, and to cancel multiplication we use division. The second rule is, once you are dividing by a negative number or multiplying by a negative number, what happened to the inequality sign? The inequality sign changes from more than, it will be less than, or from less than, it will be more than. This is how I like to write notes, short explanation. And lastly, for division, there is no, you will not see fractions. It's already, the division in inequality is already represented using a fraction, but the variable is one part of it. That's why we say that the variable is divided by the number, the variable is divided by the 2, the x is divided by the negative 7. But before, we had a multiplication between a fraction, let's say 1/2 times the x. This one is multiplication. But if you have x/2, it's a division between x divided by 2. But here, it's 1/2 times the x. There's a difference between how we actually look at these two expressions, okay? So let's start solving right away. It's not going to take long, but I'll just solve these 3 direct questions and I will select some questions from here. Okay, so let's start by the very basic one. I have x/4. Since once I see that it's over the number, then there's a division between them. Okay, draw the line to separate the two sides of the inequality. Again, to cancel division, I use multiplication. So I have to multiply by what? By this number. I want to cancel it by 4 on both sides. خلاص, it's cancelled. Now I have my variable isolated. Since I multiplied by a positive number, then my inequality sign will stay the same. I'm not going to flip it. 5 times 4 is 20. That's it. Just graph your answer. It's very easy, very direct, straightforward. So more than 20, then it's an open circle pointing to the right, because it's more numbers, greater numbers are on the right. And here's less, okay? Let's do this one. X over 2 is less than negative 3. Again, don't freak out once you see a negative. I focus only on the number next to the variable. This number, it's a positive number. Then, of course, my inequality sign will stay the same. Okay? So, X over 2, then this means that X divided by 2. To cancel division, we use multiplication of 2 on both sides. Cancel not 2. I only have X. Since I multiplied by a positive number, then my inequality will stay the same, less than. Now, 3 times 2 is 6, and since one of them is negative, then it's going to be negative 6. Graph your answer. Negative 6 less than شو يعني? It means that it's an open circle pointing to the left. Less numbers. Less means left. Okay? Now, the last example we have here, again, separate the two sides, but my number is a negative number, so definitely my inequality sign will flip. Okay? So again, x over the 7, negative 7, يعني x divided by negative 7. To cancel division, I have to multiply by negative 7 on both sides. خلاص, negative 7 is cancelled. X alone, since I multiplied by a negative number, then this inequality sign flips. 11 times 7 is 77. Since both of them are negative, same signs, gives me a positive answer. Just lastly, graph your answer. Just put 77. On the right, of course, more or greater numbers. On the left, less. More than or equal to means what? It's a closed circle pointing to the right. Again, if you are facing a problem with the directions of the inequality, of how to graph the inequality, go back to lesson 5.4. I explained it in details. Okay. طيب. That's it. It's very easy.